As seems to be the case with a lot of next-gen titles, Mass Effect is something of a mixed bag. On the technical front it's amazing, with wonderful presentation, but the gameplay is somewhat flawed, missing out on certain key areas that in their previous games Bioware have got absolutely right, such as Knights of the Old Republic. For some developers, the leap to the new consoles seems to have put them under so much stress that they've forgotten some of the things they've perfected in the past. Hopefully, once they move past this and perfect the technical aspects, they can then focus once again on the gameplay. One thing Mass Effect does get right is character creation. Unlike Oblivion, once you finish creating your face, it will almost always look like a normal human being. Once you finish creating your character, you're launched immediately into the game's story.
Well, what about Shepard? Earthborn, but no record of her family.
Doesn't have one. She was raised on the streets, learned to look out for herself.
She got most of her unit killed on Torfin.
She gets the job done, no matter what the cost.
Is that the kind of person we want protecting the galaxy?
That's the only kind of person who can protect the galaxy.
I'll make the call.
Although the voice acting is of a generally very high standard, the actual acting of the characters' faces never quite matches up. For normal conversation it's fine, but if there's any extreme emotions involved, the characters really don't convey it very well. This leads to some rather stilted conversations, as you'll see in a second.
Thrusters, check. Navigation, check. Internal emissions sync engaged. All systems online. Drift, just under 1500K.
1500 is good. Your captain will be pleased.
I hate that guy.
Nihilus gave you a compliment. So you hate...
While everything looks great on the surface, the characters always feel a bit flat, as does the staging. Because of this, the drama never quite takes off, which is a bit of a shame given that most of the game's story is told through dialogue.
Besides, Spectres are trouble. I don't like having them on board. Call me paranoid.
You're paranoid. The Council helped fund this project. They have a right to send someone to keep an eye on
Probably the
this
single
investment.
best thing about Mass Effect is its dialogue system. This pops up on the screen and enables you to choose the general direction you want the conversation to go in. It's quick and easy and enables the flow to be natural. This is really quite crucial given the amount of talking you'll be doing in the game. Unfortunately, as you can see here, the actual staging again is pretty dry. So you can stand here and talk to her for a while, but nothing much really happens other than the dialogue. You might as well read it out of a book.
I'd like to know more about the Asari.
We were the first species to discover the Citadel. We were instrumental in forming the Council, and we always strive to be the voice of peaceful cooperation in galactic disputes. My people believe we are all part of a single galactic community.
I should go.
Goodbye,
A bigger
Shepard.
problem with the characters is they don't do anything. That girl there, for example, can always be found in that room, at that desk. She never moves, never does anything. Same with these guys at the table. You can't even talk to them, they just sit there. They may as well be robots, which is a bit of a problem given that the game's main story focus is on a conflict between machines and organic life. We're meant to be the organic life, but the actual characters we're playing with really come across kind of robotic. This is the command deck of your ship, the Normandy. Again, it looks astounding, but nothing's really happening. Everyone's just standing or sitting at their consoles, tapping away. You can't interact with them, there's nothing to really do, and it's all just a bit dreary, to be honest. There's no life to the place. This is an even bigger problem here, which is the Citadel, this giant hub of civilization that is right at the centre of the Mass Effect universe. This is meant to be a bustling thoroughfare, but there's just a handful of people who are standing around, not really saying anything, not really doing much, and there's no sense of life. Even Oblivion had a sense that the characters were moving about doing things, and after the likes of Assassin's Creed, where you have these bustling marketplaces, it really doesn't quite work. The other side of the game is the combat. There's never really been anything quite like it in the role-playing genre. Normally you're used to turn-based or very statistical-based combat. Here, you've got a gun, you run around and shoot things. You can also freeze the action so you can issue commands to your squad members. It's fun and works fairly well, but it's never as effective as, say, the tactical stuff in Ghost Recon. And similarly, the running about action is never as good as in a proper shooter. This is Mass Effect's real problem. It's several different genres melded together into a single game. but you inevitably end up comparing it to the classics of each of those genres, and it really can't stand up to that kind of comparison. There have been better role-playing games, there have been better shooter games, there's been better tactical gameplay. It's by no means a bad game, it's very slick, and it works well and it's fun and has a fairly decent story. There's always a nagging feeling that this is something of a dry run. Mass Effect is meant to be a franchise, so this is the first of several instalments. Hopefully now that they've got the basics sorted, they'll be able to really focus on making something unique and innovating a little more, rather than just melding together lots of things that have already been perfected in other genres. For the full review, head over to potentialgamer.com. And by the way, please don't use the tactics that you see me using here, they're really not very good.